Akshay, madam.
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
Yeah. Audible, right?
Yes, sir. If you have PPT, can we just check if it is working?
Yeah. So just actually start presenting.
Yes, sir. Just we will start presenting for a minute, then we will come back.
Hello. Akshay. Hello.
Yes, sir. You're
Akshay,
audible.
madam.
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
Audible, right? Yeah.
If you
Audible,
have
right?
PPT, can we just check? If you have PPT, can we just check if it is working?
Yeah. So just actually start presenting.
Yes, sir. Just we will start presenting for a minute, then we will come back.
Akshay, madam.
Yes, sir. You're audible. So your video is stopped. Yes, sir. You're audible.
Akshay, madam.
Yes, sir. You're audible.
Can you see this?
If you have PPT, can we just check if it is working? If you have PPT, can we just check if it is working? Are you sharing your screen right? Then we will start for a minute. Then we will. So your video is yes, sir. You're audible. So your video is stopped. Yes, sir. You're Are you sharing your screen right? So your video is stopped. So your video
JK, good evening.
Sir, good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, எவ்வளவு நேரம் ஆகுது?
So your video is stuck. We couldn't see the screen.
No, it's actually taking long.
Akshay, one more request. Participants வந்து வீடியோ வந்து இது பண்ண சொல்லுங்க. எதுவும் குறுக்குல பிரசன்ட் பண்ண வேணாம்னு சொல்லுங்க. ஏன்னா சார் வந்து அவரே பிரசன்ட் பண்றாரு. இவங்க குறுக்குல பிரசன்ட் பண்ண திரும்ப அது ஒரு பெரிய ப்ராசஸ் தெரியுது உங்களுக்கு கூகுள் மீட்ல.
Okay, sir.
ஸோ பார்ட்டிசிபென்ட்ஸ்க்கு வந்து இந்த மாதிரி எதுவும் குறுக்குல பிரசன்ட் ஸ்கிரீன் டச் பண்ணாதீங்கன்னு சொல்லிடுங்க தயவு செஞ்சு. தேங்க்யூ.
Participants, please kindly off your video. Gopika VR. Thank you.
Akshay, can you hear me? Akshay?
Yes, sir.
Actually அதே மாதிரி வந்து இந்த குரூப்ல மெசேஜ் போட்டுட்டே இருக்கணும்னு சொல்லுங்க. இந்த சர்டிபிகேட் வேணும், இதெல்லாம் வந்து டெஃபினட்டா அது கடைசி நாள் உங்களுக்கு கிடைக்கும். சர்டிபிகேட் அட்டெண்டன்ஸ் லிங்க் கடைசியில் வந்துடும். முதல்ல இதெல்லாம் சொல்லிடுங்க. டெய்லி இதை குரூப்ல போட்டுட்டே இருக்காங்க, இருக்கிறவங்களுக்கு டிஸ்டர்பன்ஸா இருக்கு. அதாவது கொஸ்டின்ஸ் கேட்கறது வேற, சும்மா கொஸ்டின் இது சர்டிபிகேட் வருமா, அது வருமா, அட்டெண்டன்ஸ் லிங்க் கடைசியா போஸ்ட் பண்ணுவாங்க. சொல்லிடுங்க, இதெல்லாம் சொல்லிடுங்க. ஓகே. அதே மாதிரி வந்து அவங்க ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ் யாருக்கும் வந்து இந்த லிங்க் கொடுத்து திரும்ப இங்க அட்டன் பண்ண வேணா, யூடியூப் லிங்க் அவங்களுக்கு அனுப்பிச்சாச்சு. இதெல்லாம் முன்னாலேயே சொல்லிடுங்க, எடுத்து ஒண்ணு தயவு செஞ்சு.
Jaykumar sir, your PPT is visible, sir. It's clear. You have muted. You have muted your mic, sir. Please unmute yourself and speak.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
All right.
The PPT was visible and it is very clear, sir.
Okay. So you can see this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You can see that. Parameshwari ma'am, are you there? Parameshwari ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to check.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you. We'll wait for some more participants.
So should we wait for five more minutes?
ஜேகே எக்ஸாக்டா 3 o'clock ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணலாம் ஜேகே. யாரும் வெயிட் பண்ணுங்க. ஏன்னா அங்க வந்து உங்களுக்கு லைவ் ஸ்ட்ரீமிங்ல நிறைய பேர் ஜாயின் பண்ணிருப்பாங்க. அதனால நம்ம எக்ஸாக்டா இன்னும் இப்போ டைம் வந்து 2:55, எக்ஸாக்டா 3 o'clock ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணிடுவோம்.
சரிங்க சார், சரிங்க.
ஓகே, தேங்க்யூ. Akshay, you can start. It is 3 o'clock exactly. You can start.
Jaykumar sir, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there very much.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I cordially welcome you all for the international webinar series on counseling and mental health during COVID-19, organized by the Department of Psychology, Periyar University, Salem. Before we start the session, there are a few instructions to be followed for the smooth conduct of the program. Firstly, I request all the participants to mute your audio, and also you can switch off your video. Avoid sharing the screen while the resource person is presenting, and the attendance form will be shared at the end of the program. So avoid texting in the chat box requesting for the certificate or attendance form. Thank you so much, participants. Now I request Dr. J. Parameshwari, Assistant Professor, Department of Psychology, Periyar University, to deliver the welcome address and also introduce the speaker for the day. Parameshwari, ma'am, yes.
Happy afternoon to all the participants. I'm happy in welcoming all of you, my dear colleagues and my head of the department and people from American College and all the participants for this third day program. And I take pleasure in introducing the resource person of the day, Dr. K. N. Jaykumar. He has done his BA Psychology from Government Arts College, Coimbatore, and MA Applied Psychology and MPhil from PSG College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore. and he has done his PhD from Periyar University, Salem. He has around 20 years of teaching experience. He has worked in Bharatiya University for a year and for 2 years in PSG CAS. He has 7 years of teaching experience from Christ Deemed University, Bangalore, and presently he's working as associate professor in Department of Psychology, Periyar University. So he's here for past 10 years. He has rich research experience. He has guided about 10 MPhil students and one PhD scholar. He has published more than 30 articles in UGC Care Listed and Scopus Index journals. He has also published a book on action research, and he has also contributed to several edited books. He has presented more than 23 papers in various national and international conferences and seminars. Besides this, he is also a trainer, a corporate trainer. He has given many training for the IT professionals in various companies in Bangalore. And he has also conducted behavioral training programs for teachers and students. And he has also served as resource person for various programs at colleges, universities, police department, and government establishments across Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and Karnataka. His areas of interest are social psychology, OB, HR training, and development. With this short introduction about the resource person, I welcome you, Jay Kumar, for this third day program. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was actually a wonderful introduction, and hope that I will live to that introduction. And so, shall I start? Yeah. Right. I'll start presenting. Are you able to see the slide?
Yes, sir, we can see it, sir.
Yeah.
Kindly make it as a full screen, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you,
yeah.
sir.
So the technical problem with the Google Meet is that I will not be able to see you people, and even though you will be actually seeing me. So at the outset, before I actually start the presentation, I would like to thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor and respected Registrar for supporting this international webinar series. And I would like to profoundly thank our HOD, Controller of Examination in charge, Professor and Head Department of Psychology, Professor Kadiravan sir, for actually giving this opportunity to me to handle this session. And I would like to thank all my colleagues for actually being part of this program. And I would like to thank Dr. Suresh Kumar, Dr. Veena Pillai, then Akshaya Lakshmi, Ananya Lakshmi for associating with us for this program. I would like to thank all the participants who have actually registered, and today you made a time for this presentation. So let me actually start with my presentation. So yeah, so the topic is work-life balance while working from home. And if you actually just sit and think, recollect what is the thing that is actually happening around you for the time being, for the last 3 months, 4 months, then you will be able to connect to what I'm actually trying to say. So work-life balance while working from home. So seeing these two pictures tells a lot. One side we have actually the mother who's very happy with the net or actually working from home, and we have actually the father who's actually upset. We may not know whether he is upset because of the work or because of the son or daughter that it's actually is meddling with him. Yeah. So coming to this first slide. So so I have actually just put some slides, some pictures, splashed it on the screen. So which is better? Can I actually elicit some response? Which do you think that is okay or better compared to others? Which one? Or
Sir, let the participants type
Yeah.
it in the chat box. I will read it for you, sir.
yeah, please. So I want the response from the participants so that we can actually progress.
Left side, second one.
Okay.
The,
Website
the
second
more
one,
or,
bottom. Okay. Mm.
the more organized way of working
Okay.
depends on profession.
Okay.
Working alone. 4.
Okay.
Psychologist, counselor, social worker.
Okay. So there are some responses which actually tries to say that, okay, so this is better. That is actually, there is more professionalism uh, when compared to the other three. That is actually in the middle and actually to the right. Okay, so what makes us to think that the left side of the pictures are actually better compared to the right side of the pictures? So this actually shows that we have a kind of a mindset that what is it? This is what actually professional etiquette has to be, and this is how that we have to behave. This is how we have to carry ourselves when we are actually interacting. Very interestingly, that all these 5 pictures that I have actually put on the screen for you, all are actually working from home. Okay, so when we are working from home, how much should we actually what is it, maintain the professional etiquette, or actually how much should we actually right carry the way that business is carried out in the real offices? So we have actually a difference in the understanding. So with that, I will take you to the next thing. So something is actually happening to our workspace, to our offices, to our companies. And it's not actually specific to particular geographical area. It is actually happening across the globe. So what happens is offices are actually becoming what is it, uh, vacated. So that means actually offices are slowly disappearing. And if we actually follow the news, business news and other news spaces, that we find that there are major companies, big companies, which are saying that slowly we are actually pushing the work from office space to home space. So IT and ITES companies, and 90 percentage of the work can happen at home. Okay, not necessary that they have to come and occupy the physical space provided here. They can actually still work from home, only for 10 percentage that they can actually visit the office space. Otherwise they cannot take care of their job sitting at home. And what happens is this 90 percentage, out of that we say that 65 percentage are actually shifted to the what is it, the homes in the metros, and 35 percentage of the work is actually shifted to small towns like ours. So what happens is that almost 90 percentage of work is taken over from one place, and actually it is dumped in another place. So it has its own what is it, repercussions. It has its own what is it, effects, influences. So companies are shifting from 100 model, 100 by 100 model to 25 by 25 model. So what is this 100 by 100 and 25 by 25 model? The 100 by 100 model is 100 percentage of the employees are at any point of time are present in the office space. Now what happens is, now things have actually changed, and it is 25 by 25 model. That is 25 percentage of the time we want only 25 percentage of the employees in the office space. That means 75 percentage of the people in 75 percentage of the time they have to actually work from home. So that means that is almost 3/4 of the people are always there at home, and only 1/4 of the people will be employees will be there in the offices. So it is actually going to take what is it, changes. It is going to change. Then coming to this, almost all the businesses are entering the virtual space, because the more prolonged the lockdown is, the more prolonged this corona effect is, then people cannot actually stay without business. So they are actually trying to find alternative, and virtual space is the space where they can actually always actually try to exploit. So in that case, the latest what is the entry is we have Pothys. So you would have actually seen in the advertisements how Pothys are saying that no need to come here. You can actually just give a call to this number, and we will actually go and show all the sarees and all the dress materials, and you can pick and you can pay online. So this was there, but actually what happens is it is actually even importance now, because there is what is it, the traffic into the what is it, the showrooms are becoming are dwindling, or it is becoming less or rare sometimes. And another major entrant into this virtual space is educational institutions. So you know that how particularly private and high-end schools, elite schools are actually exploiting this, what is it, the online space. So more and more schools are embracing online, and there is actually no standard procedures and to regulate the number of classes or the screen time for the children who are actually sitting in front of the computers or actually tabs or actually the smartphones. And colleges and university students are always better equipped compared to school students. But still, what happens is major schools are actually into the online mode, and every other house has actually seen classes happening in the class in the houses, right? So that is how it has actually changed now, and it is actually a phenomenal change that is actually happening across the globe, and it happened within no time, within 3 months, and you cannot actually expect this kind of a change, overall change that has happened elsewhere in the history. Even the what is it, the other revolutions and other things that has actually happened, that has happened, it has taken so much of time. Okay, but this has actually happened within less time. We can say in no time. Why this change happened? Yes, everybody's guess. All right. We are in the cusp of change. That is actually we before Corona and after Corona and during Corona. So what happens is that here we have three phases, and before Corona, we all have beautiful memories of how our schools were, how our workplace were, and how the environment were, how the actually society was, and all the things actually we seen before Corona. We have lived that and we have experienced that. And now in one the second phase, that during Corona, and how things have actually started changing, how things what is it started becoming what is it different. So office space or office is disappearing in the office and appearing in home. So office has actually disappeared in the office and it has actually come and appeared. It has actually popped up in the house, in the home. And we all believe that it is because of Corona. But if you really think, it is not because of Corona. Actually, it is because of these three major constituents which has brought in change. That is the development in the technological side, mobile technology, internet technology, and cloud computing. These are the three things that actually were there just before Corona, and nobody actually expected that that will be actually the another alternative vehicle for change. And Corona was just the catalyst. The bus is the three. What is it? You can call that what is it? Bus of change, or actually the vestibule change, is because of all these three were already there, and Corona was the one which has pushed everybody to actually make use of this. So what happens is actually if we have had no technological development like this right now we have, Corona would not have actually changed our workspace, right? Earlier, our own what is it parents and grandparents earlier they cannot take work home. Simply they cannot take because office work cannot be taken home, and they were very lucky because they never had this kind of a technological advancement then. So it is like they were actually when they are home means they are at home, and when they are actually in the office means they are at home. So uh, if we can actually say that we did homework, so now we are working from home. So it is actually the continuity of how we are actually doing it. So next, what's happening? So because of technological development on the one side, and because of the Corona is pushing the business to get onto this vehicle of change on the other side. So ultimately, what happens is something is happening in the home front. Everybody is actually experiencing it. I have actually put this pictures for you people to easily connect. See, the father is actually sitting in front of the computer, sipping the coffee or tea, and listening to the online conference or meeting or whatever it is. So we have actually another mother who is actually over phone and listening to the meeting or whatever, trying to do business transactions while the child is actually doing the homework. And here we have actually the father caught between the devil and the deep sea. That is these are the things that is actually happening right now across the globe in all the developed and developing countries. If it is an underdeveloped countries, it is fine. And very unfortunately, India can be developed. And here we have actually the father segmented part, developed part of the devil in the developing part of actually they are underdeveloped and the children are not allowing me to. We have also these are the things that is actually happening right now across the globe in all the developed and developing countries. If it is an underdeveloped countries, it is fine. And very unfortunately, India can be developed, can be segmented as developed part of the country, developing part of the country, and underdeveloped part of the country. So we have all, you name it, we have it. With right. Professional, this is one thing which I actually picked up from the, we will be conducting, is it happening like we will be doing the work? What do we expect? When we say that, when we are moving out of the office and we say that, okay, what happens is I'm working from home, yeah, then what is the kind of image that work from home mind? If there is actually, we have a very high expectation that which can we will be actually these two things. What is it? With whether we are actually working, we will be actually whether we are with professional, right? So that is actually the kind of we will be wishing that we are trying to or we will be doing the work from home. So, but in reality, are we actually like this? So what happens is that why this is actually happening again. The reason is that is work from we are in a new world. If there is actually whether the thin line which can actually blur these two things. Whether we are actually working from home or whether we are working for home, right? So that is actually the kind of situation that we are in. We are trying to juggle has turned into office. So office work at home and homework earlier. So both the things are actually happening. Why this is actually happening? Again, the reason is that we are in a new world now. Whether we acknowledge it or not, whether we like it or not, have some gadget. We are in a new world. The world is not going to be the same as we used to enjoy or not enjoy. We have limited skills. The house has turned into office. So we have actually two challenges. So one earlier, one laptop or one mobile phones is enough. And these two are actually really challenging in the office. Not that easy. But now everybody, every children, even the psychologists should have some gadget to say that they can actually connect to what's happening to them, right? In the school or in the office. They also still we have limited skills in dealing these two challenges. So we have actually two challenges. One is then work. This is the limitation that we have, and these two are actually much more really for us to. It is not that easy as we say, and even psychologists who say that home problem, we know how to actually deal with these two things and counsel or actually give training or do all the things. They also still, their time you actually learn it and there is no perfect solution actually handling these two things more effective. And then this this limitations that we have between the devil it was much more easy for us to deal the office problem in the office and work problem in the sorry in the home problem in the home. So these two things were actually kept separate and it was much more easy. So their time you actually fight your battle there and giving actually dealing once you come back from understand and you fight or deal with this battle here. So coming to this. So from between the devil and the there are actually lots of the devil and social now what happens is social the devil is in the dark perspectives. Economic becomes overwhelming. It becomes very difficult to deal with, and we don't have enough skills or knowledge or psychological energy or ability or attitude to understand and deal with this. So coming to this, pros versus cons. Okay, so there are actually lots of social social studies, sociological perspectives, economical perspective, political and legal perspectives, things that is actually happening and how to understand this. So there are actually good things because of this work from home concept. And it is actually reducing the cost on infrastructure. Obviously, no need to have swanky buildings, posh furniture. So even so no need to have multi-storied buildings online, right? So we can actually do away with that. So economic cost actually comes down. Then all the people, it's the migration. We have seen the pain of people who are migrating from one place to another place, particularly people who are migrating the lower strata of the society. And even though their work cannot be actually outsourced or their work cannot be infrastructure. Okay, so women, even the people who are working as online, earlier they used to travel, teachers used to travel to home space. All the people, the business people used to travel, for women to employees used to travel for all equal opportunity. Now the transition or migration has actually, the commuting has actually reduced, that is actually good. It is actually going soft on, these are the good things Mother Nature. More women employees. And what happens is, as the work is actually shifted from office space to home space, then it is actually, it becomes much more easy for women to actually take part in actually home equal opportunity, equity, and making them you have actually participate in the need to appear employment. And these are the good things that can be actually told about this shift. But what happens is, the work actually gets kind of price that people are going to pay, are paying already. Psychological problems. There are actually lots of control and they feel helpless when the work actually comes home and you don't have control over in the office from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock, or you have actually anxiety need to appear, and there is an anxiety that when people sit at home and they do work, and the work actually gets over in some time, and constantly you have to prove that you are working or you have to be busy home. And these are the studies which has actually come kind of a thing that do the same kind makes us actually undergo stress. So when you are in the office from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, people might, how much ever that work you do, that is actually always an image or actually a perception back home that you are actually not confident, you are working there from this time to this time 100%. Okay, but if you are anxious shifting yourself to the what is it home, and you are actually trying to do that, will I not be sustainable to actually do the same kind of work here, and your work are actually usually there are lots of free times, and people might actually think that okay, only for actually few hours of work this fellow is actually sitting there and all those things, right? So that kind of actually almost all the conflict that comes when people get to know, family members get to know, okay, and anxiety comes what is it due to other reasons, that will I actually sustain in the job, will I continue in the job, and will my boss allow me to continue, and if the situation goes on like this, how long psychologically is that my days in the office work getting numbered, okay, and economic instability, the kind of money, and you know that almost all the companies have actually either gone for layoffs or actually reduced the salary, or actually they have shifted to relieve from the service kind of work, right? So this is actually the dark side of this organization, and depression. Because of this depression, they feel lonely because it takes a toll. Psychologically, we are wired to actually work in a particular place and actually live life in a particular place, and domestic problems given to us, and we have molded ourselves from what is it, from generations to generation, and suddenly things have actually shifted. We feel fish out of water. Okay, so feeling lonely, sleeplessness, disorganization, disorientation, all these things actually comes in, and it takes a toll, exceptions on the physical as well as mental health of the employees. And coming to this domestic problems, and if you see the what we call it atrocities that is actually happening, and the homes are actually changing of the husband. So what happens is looked as a stranger, and actually spending the wife is looked as a stranger, and I'm not generalizing this. I'm not. There is you cannot generalize. Psychological exceptions will always be there. But what happens is men are supposed to be there at home according to our boy patriarchal system, or the husband, or whatever that we call it as, and women are actually supposed to be at home, and things are actually changing there actually on the vacation. So what happens is suddenly father is at home and actually weeks and either weeks together and months together at home. What happens is he doesn't have enough psychological skills to gel with the family members, because he conflicts on the boy or the man, family husband is always out, and he comes only to take rest or to sleep. And even if they are actually on the vacation, so they are there on maybe few days or actually just a couple of weeks, and again they go back. But continuously haunt infinitely, we don't know how long this is going to happen. And that strange reciprocation, that kind of a strange situation for this person creates lots of conflicts, physically strong, and family conflicts arise. So that way what happens is women are actually put in a what is it, verbally expressing violence, they actually nitpick every day. You can actually what is it, the weakness of the men, or actually tease them, or actually taunt them, or whatever it is, because verbally they are actually good. And reciprocation is not verbal fight; it is actually physical fight, because men are actually physically strong and verbally they are weak. So that way, what happens is this actually turns out into lots of domestic violence, and we can see every day you can actually see no wonder that cases of domestic violence between the husband and wife, between the father and the son, and the daughter and the mother. So many things are actually happening. And last month there was actually a report that domestic violence has hit a peak over its highest in the last 10 years. And within 2 months, the highest number of domestic violence cases were reported. And no wonder that what would have actually, we all know what would have happened to the cases which was not reported, very unfortunately. And what happens is because the person was supposed to be out, the person is actually inside the home, and it creates lots of stress. Okay, so domestic violence happens, overlapping to certain extent it is work from home or work for beyond that level, actually tension happens. So and families who are actually very vulnerable, they don't have actually strong emotional bonding, we are strong, we think of actually affection, they actually fall prey to these kind of things. And very unfortunately, these are they are highest in number. And coming to this, and it creates stress. We know that stress is to a certain extent it is good, and beyond that level it is not good. So you can see that how the balance is actually work-life balance, right? So when we are at home, we think of actually work-life. Sorry, when we are at home, we think of office. When we are in the office, we think of computers started actually beautifully into the office space balance. And in 1980s, something actually the other. Okay, so the concept of slowly crystallized in the enter into the office space, and society is also becoming more 20th century, and becoming that in 1980s, the concept of work-life balance, and women were actually more welcome in the office, because so what happened when computers started actually a stereotypical role entry into the office space, women taking the physical work, or actually the other thing, men taking required, and women can also actually enter into the office space. And society is also becoming more tolerant and becoming more open for computers into the office space, people to come. And women were actually more welcome in the office. So what happens is it is a stereotypical role, a typical role of women taking care of household chores, then men taking care of outside home, office, or any work related thing. It was actually totally balanced like this. But somewhere after the incorporation of computers into the office space, then what happens is that the women started entering into the office, and they were actually moved to the workspace. They have not actually just like that left the household chores. So the domestic work was still actually on their shoulders. So Friedman actually started actually observing this, and he wanted to help women, but he produced knowledge for action. Work-life balance actually began with women in mind, but actually the research was done by the Professor Friedman. Okay, so what happens is it actually started like this. Then we all know that there should not be any conflict. Okay, so there should not be any conflict between the work and life, and we should actually, anybody who is very happy and successful will be the one who is able to balance these two things. If you are able to balance these two things, then it is actually fine, right? So that is what this work-life balance is. Work-life balance is a term commonly used to describe the balance that the working individual needs between time allocated for work and other aspects of life, because we don't live only to work. Okay, work is actually part of our life, and it is not the entirety. Areas of life other than work includes personal interest, family, social, leisure activities. That is also there. So how to actually balance? So if you are not able to balance, then automatically you get into trouble, and your physical health, psychological health definitely actually suffers. And what happens is people have the tendency to prefer work compared to will be. That is actually said. There are lots of studies on that. Then, before this lockdown or pandemic, how the work-life balance was there? This was actually a Harvard Business study done in 2019, and it says that before the pandemic, this was actually last year's study. And are we actually having the balance between the work and home? Very, very unfortunately, what actually it says is across the globe, it says that 26 percentage of work is done outside business hours. That means you are actually 9 to 4 or actually 10 to 5 is your office time. You do only 74 percentage in the office, and you bring the 26 percentage to your home. Either you sit in the night or actually you sit in the evening and you finish. You are not able to do 100% of the work. And why? And the what is it? The answer lies in the same study itself. It says that 21 percentage of our work time is spent on entertainment, news, social media, etc. And what happens is we try to actually interpolate that when we are actually into office, we don't do 100% office work normally in normal situation. In between that we actually do something which is actually not meant to be done or not related to the goals, vision and mission of the office, right? We actually do that also. And every 6 minutes we check our inbox. That is actually another obsessive behavior that anybody who has actually used this smartphone or actually the internet or laptop or so they keep on checking, and it becomes actually interference in the workspace. So this is actually happening in a normal context where where workspace is different and house is actually different, or home is actually different. They have a distance between the home and the space, and they have to travel for work and they have to come back. They have to commute. So coming to this outcome of work-life imbalance. So what happens? So we all know that work-life imbalance has actually a major impact on the health, both physical as well as psychological, and it has its impact on the family and its happiness. And many times we have not kept our promises to take our children or actually our spouses out, which we have promised long back. And what happens is because of that. And every other day we sleep late, and actually children also get delayed in their sleep, and it actually disturbs the pattern. And what happens is that taking work from office and actually dumping it or doing it in the home, it creates more of actually disturbances, not only for us and for the people who are actually dependent on the person who is actually working. And friends and relatives also, we are not able to live the life that we would have actually lived had we not taken the work. And many times, many of the social events are missed because we have work. In the pretext or in the garb of that we have work, we can't come, we are actually missing the social events. And we know that how effective that we are actually performing there at office as well as at home. And coming to this, is there a way to set it right? Yeah, ways to deal with work-life imbalance. Had it been actually a problem related to work-life imbalance, right? Some of the techniques which we can actually do is critique ourselves, right? Okay, am I actually doing justice? Is this my priority? So what is the time? What has to be done? Why I'm doing what it is not supposed to be done? So knock out big tasks first. These are small suggestions that have been sprinkled so that people can pick up and they can set right their the work and life balance, scheduling the work and learning to say no or sorry. That's actually very difficult. It is not that easy to being assertive. Okay, so being assertive might be actually considered as arrogance. So that is actually the risk that we take. So many times we say we do agree even though it is not possible for us to do it. And we many times we don't know when we are done with the work, because we always think that there is actually a sense of incompletion in our head, and so it actually like what is it it gets extended and beyond, and still we are actually into it. So these are the things that we have to actually do so that we can actually set the work-life balance. But the situation is different now. It is not about work-life balance. is exactly not about work-life balance. It's about workspace into life space. You have actually a different space for work, a different space for your life. And what happens is now it has intertwined itself. It has intertwined itself. And the workspace has become your life space. Life space has become your workspace. So there is no difference between work and life now. So which part of the work is actually you are doing it for the sake of the office, or which part of the job that you are doing for the sake of your own family or for yourself? Work has vacated from the office and is sitting in your house. How would you deal it? The techniques of work-life balance cannot always solve this situation, because work-life situation or work-life balance techniques can help when you are going out to work and you are not able to come back because you are actually held. But what happens is now these two things have actually just come together. We need to move out of the work-life balance model to deal with this forced work from home situation. So what can we do? Work-life balance is work is separate, life is separate, then fine. But work and life are both are actually sitting coming together. How to deal with it? So should we actually still depend on the work-life model to understand the psychological and behavioral impact of that? So thought of actually just taking you through the history, how the concept of work has emerged, and somewhere it is actually the concept of work, or the word work has actually come from European languages, and in the Old English work, and it has its root in German words also, and Latin. So that is actually that European, that part of the world uh, is the place where the word work actually emerged. And as we know that corona has actually, COVID has emerged in this part of China, Wuhan district. That is where actually the virus has emerged. Similarly, the work has emerged in the European countries. And it started somewhere in the 12th century to actually to mention that people who are paid to do the artistry work. Artistry means actually embroidery, or actually painting, or actually some, what is it, handicrafts, all those things, because that cannot be done by everybody. And it was actually there in the world, it was there in the present, in from 12th century onwards. Okay, but very interestingly, from the 17th century onwards, the reference to that word work is very high in all the literature across the globe, particularly in the European countries. So even though work was actually still mentioned in the 12th century, and it is actually somewhere in the 17th century, it actually came into work and into full, what is it, thing. Every literature, everything that was actually written mentions this work. So there is actually a connect to why that work actually came into being. If you actually just look at this, what is it in the slide? So we have home, we have actually place. So this is actually something which the first level is actually the Stone Age, where actually what is it? Men lived in cages. Sorry, in caves. So it was actually some 2 lakh years, because the modern man actually came into being from evolved from the what is it, chimpanzees, and what is it, orangutans, and pre-humans, and later when he became sort of a humanoid we call, and modern man, it is actually like in the home, that the home was the cave. What is the cave was his home, and his place of work was the forest. He has to go, because actually the hunters and gatherers, they were actually hunters and gatherers. Hunting was actually taken over by men, and what is the gathering as well as taking care of the, what is it, the children and the elders, was actually left to the women, and women were there at home, and men moved out of the, what is it, the home for work. And there was actually, what happened to understand better is that there were actually lots of conflict, there were actually lots of what is it, groupisms, there were actually gangs, there were actually different racial what is this, groups.
is a place of home, right? So now business establishments or buildings are empty. Because Corona is there. So what happens is now both husband and wife, children are supposed to going to school, husband and wife going to office. Now everybody is actually cramming in one bedroom house, two bedroom house, or actually this and that, and all the people are crammed inside. And hitherto that they were never been like that. In weekends, they were actually for a longer period of time. They never actually were there. It is creating its own challenges. So now the thing that has to happen is in this kind of a forced situation, the model has to change. The model is work-life integration model. Because the corona pandemic has nudged us. There is a availability of technology. We have to actually invite. So when there is actually a forest fire, we are on the banks of the river and we nowhere to go. But when there is a boat, we all have to get onto the boat or ship which is waiting. So like that makes knowingly or unknowingly, because of the epigenetic evolution of the mind, man has developed this kind of technologies and it's all waiting there for the ship, and there is a forest fire and everybody actually has to run and they all come and occupy the ship. So that way this work-life integration is the best thing that can actually ever happen in this kind of a situation. So work-life model may have become obsolete and redundant. As long as both work and life are together, we may not be able to use the work-life balance model. So work-life integration is the need of the work, and integration is not trade-off. It is not compromise. It is synergy. It is synergy. It is trying to understand, yes, this is what it is. Right? It is actually trying to assimilate inside, take it inside, and yes, possible. We can actually do something rather than actually constantly putting ourselves in. It's combining aspects of life and not exclude. So coming to this, it is trying to what are the good things that we have learned in the office and what are the good things that we have learned in the home. How can we actually combine these together and actually come up with a solution to this new kind of problem that we are actually facing? That's what called as integration, right? Attitude about one role, positively spilling over into another role or experiences in one role serve as a resource that enrich another role in one's life. So what happens is the good things that happen in the workplace can actually be taken over here, and the good things that has actually happened in the home space can be taken over. So what happens is since both workspace and the home spaces are all the same, it becomes much more easier. It changes the way that we think about work-life balance. So assimilation is what we can contrast here. The era of leaving work at home, work at workspace, and the family space is almost over now. And according to WHO and other medical communities, as they predicted, it may not be that easy to get back to what we used to enjoy in the past. It's going to be difficult. It's not that easy. Okay, so the change is for sure. It will have its impact, and once we get used to this kind of change, it becomes very difficult to go back with that kind of space past. So progression is difficult. Now, progression is the only way left out for us. No need to prove you are a perfect person. So in this context, people have images in the workspace. People have images in the home space. That something actually they have their own images, they have their own ideas, perceptions about their home, and no need to actually keep that images that I'm coming from a perfect family, I'm coming from a perfect household. No need to prove that you are a perfect partner or a parent, because everybody has a handful of weakness that we have to work for our own improvement. Being more open and honest and it's about family sitting and discussing about things related to office work. And it's not that office work, you just actually be there and actually let home work, let it be there. So this kind of dichotomy cannot help anyone. So because integration is the way that to come out of the psychological problems that we are actually facing now because of this. There is no more work time or home time. No more work time, there is no home time because home time is work time and work time is actually home time. It's all mingled together. No more sneak peek into online meetings. Earlier and all, when we are actually having an online meeting, children very curious to know whom you are actually talking to, whom you are actually interacting with. Parents, elders are interested to know whom the son or daughter is actually talking to, like that. So they become curious. The family members become more curious. So they peek inside. They peek inside. See, no more, no more. Let them be part of it. That's what this integration model says. Let them be part of it. So the little children see that this is what you are doing, and these are the people, small boxes there, and there are lots of faces there, and these are the people with whom daddy is working, mother is working, and brother is working, sister is working. Let them actually know that we are working from home, and we don't have any, the official sanctity. We have home sanctity, and home will be like a topic. And brawling is part of growth, and the children fighting in the background, noises coming from the kitchen in the background, and people walking around in the office and talking to you in the background or disturbing the meetings. That is part of work that we have to agree and accept and acknowledge to move forward, that these are part of it. It is not very strange. We are all human beings, we are all actually into families, and we are all actually having similar things across every other house. So that way what happens is bowling is part of it. Let us all agree. Let us not actually try to portray the best ways that is actually possible. Office is not physical space, but a functional space. So this is actually a good amount of research has been done. Is it actually a function or is it actually a physical space? When we talk about office, we always think that office is a space where you have to work there. And if you are not there in that space, it's like what was it? Being there, you have to be, if you're a teacher, you have to be in the class, and your students have to sit in front of you, then only you'll be able to teach, otherwise it is difficult. But if you understand that, yes, teaching is the function for which that you are there, and students are there, and the medium can be not necessary that they have to be physically present, that even virtually, right now we are doing that. And it is not possible for all sort of people. Bill Gates actually was the person who introduced the term manual workers and mental workers. And for mental workers, this kind of a shift from office space to home space, and this transition is very beautifully facilitated by the technological advancement. But very unfortunately for the manual workers, still they are at the mercy of this corona pandemic, and till it is going to be very difficult, at least for the knowledge workers and knowledge transmission, that it can be used. At least one part of the thing is always taken care of. So that is one thing that has to be glad. We have to be glad about, even though other aspects are actually sad because of this. How to integrate now? How to integrate work and life? So let's be flexible as much as possible. Integrator, so that is actually based on the lifestyle of the people, that people can be integrators or segmenters. So there are certain people who actually integrate everything in work. There are certain people who are segmenters, they take one thing at a time and they work. They cannot actually work with too many projects or too many things at a time. And integrators are people who actually work with too many things in their hands. They are actually jugglers. So first try to understand that and fix the the time and be flexible. Which one can be done when and how it can be actually discussed and can be done with the people in the family. It's all about making plans and executing with partner or spouse and kids acceptance. It's important. Have a family meeting and share workloads. It's not that since the man has actually come home that he will actually only do office work and he will not actually help in the household chores. It is actually going to create more disturbances. It is going to create more functional problems for the family, and sharing the work, and there is no man work, there is no woman work, work is work, and whoever can do at this point of time has to do. So that kind of a thing has to come in setting, particularly for men, even though it's very difficult, but it will take time. It will take time to actually come, because as long as actually this kind of situation persists, then things has to be assimilated that way, so that we can integrate with work and life. Have a dedicated workspace. How much ever small the house is, have the space is defined. Lots of research, psychological research says that when you are going and sitting in that space, that means you are into that role, because your role is defined by where you are sitting. So how you are sitting in front of the TV means that you are actually entertaining yourself. If you are sitting in the study table means you are actually studying, and if you are actually in the kitchen space means that you are actually cooking. So what happens is the physical space actually expresses the kind of role that you are playing, and others will get to know whether to disturb or facilitate or help you out in that kind of situation. So it is much more important for children to be taught, and men and women actually to learn that we will have one space, even though how much of a small cramped space that we are actually having at home, that we will actually give the space, set the boundaries, and we work, and time and time all those things set in place. Be patient and take care of this. This is more important. It's a new world, and it's going to take really your health is more important for you and your family. That is ultimate. There is no point in actually slogging yourselves out for the sake of the business, or not doing, or actually. So trying to actually keep yourself healthy and help the family members also to be healthy as much as possible. Try to share the workload and actually sit and discuss and try to make everybody understand what you are into, and try to understand what others are into, and how you can facilitate that. If you are facilitating a member's achievement, then you are facilitating yourself. That is actually more important. And now I'm actually showing it's 4 o'clock. Now I'm showing the same picture. Do you see any change? Do you see any change? Is there any better thing? Can I have some responses?
I will read out them.
Is there anything good or bad, better, or something like that, or everything is important? What do you feel?
Here's cases. This side is the workplace, workspace.
Everything is workspace.
The picture on the right is about integration.
Yes.
Wherever you are, be a professional.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes.
So, and there are a lot of positive comments for your presentation.
So that's it, people. So now we have to move on to integration model, then work-life balance model, because the situation has warranted us to do that. Thank you. Thank you. Have any queries? You can actually do here.
It was a wonderful presentation. Every point you said, we were able to relate to it, and thank you for choosing this topic for today's session. It's really very important and neat for the hour. Thank you so much for that. And now I request Dr. Veena Vani to coordinate the question and answer session.
Thank you, Akshaya. Jeshmat sir, that was an excellent presentation, and you have given a lot of insights, and the topic is very much in need of the hour, because many of us are really struggling with how to balance our professional life as well as the personal life. And your insights have been really helpful. Thank you so much. And participants, I think with the chat box is overwhelmed with the positive response for your presentation. Participants, kindly send your queries in the chat box so that I can coordinate the question and answer session. And if you have any questions, you can kindly raise it and ask the questions.
So good evening, sir.
Okay.
Sir, actually, when you were speaking about integration, you said that it is
Thank you.
Very important because it will boil down to our evolutionary psychology. If you actually this evolutionary psychology, we always actually have a general understanding that we should be positive, we should be optimistic, and we should not be pessimistic. This is one thing which is contrasted in our evolutionary psychology itself. It says that negativism is important because it saves you. It saves you. Being pessimist is a person who can actually succeed and he can actually face anything that actually happens untoward. And it is wired in our neural network that we become easily to the negativity because negativity is something dangerous, right? So, for example, if you are actually as we are actually the creation of Havana animals, that we were actually moving in the forest, we were wanderers in the forest. And when there is actually a bird which is actually just flying or a butterfly flying, we may not actually notice that. But when there is actually a sound of an animal, that is actually something threatening and it is actually negative. And immediately we will pass on to the people, other people. So what happens is when positivity happens, people tend to enjoy it and take it inside. But when there is actually something which is negative, or actually when it's threatening, anything negative is threatening your existence, that it is actually taken and it is actually spread. And it is very natural for people to actually spread the negativity because it is questioning them, even though they consciously they are doing or unconsciously they are doing, but actually our network is actually made in such a way that any negative signal means immediately it is actually passed on because we don't have control over it. But for positive thing, we will always wait, let me give a surprise. But when there is a danger, you don't actually do it. So it is actually, this is how we are made up of from the evolutionary perspective, and I do agree because being pessimist is very, very important because optimist believe actually your eyes closed and actually fall into the pitch. But being actually the pessimist, it is good for you. So that is how actually it happens. And the only thing is, spreading the negativity is not the beginning or end. How to handle that negativity, that is more important. To just handle that negativity. That's the first thing. That's more important.
Thank you, sir. Excellent session. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. The next question is from Edward. What if someone is so rigid that they just don't want to listen? What can be done in that case?
Somebody doesn't want to listen, just leave it for them. Well, just leave it. My professor is there, actually, he will give lots of actually advice to people, counseling to people. Okay, just leave it. If the person is not aware, you bothering. Ignore him, and he will turn around, he will come back.
Good evening, Professor. Good evening, I have a question for you. This is Sarvana here. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, sir. First, I would like to congratulate you for this wonderful presentation, precise articulation also. My question is, I am a naturalist and I work in the wildlife tourism industry. As you talked about evolutionary psychology of human being over the many years, the first response that we have for any stressful situation is always flight, freeze, or fight response. It's a situation of corona also that stress is needed for also for a greater response, or also being cautious instead of using the word pessimism. Don't you think it can be channelized also? How do we channelize that stress energy into a positive energy to get better results? Thank you.
So this is actually quite interesting because how you have to actually distract yourself. That is one thing. What cannot be cured has to be endured. As simple as that. So you have to cure, you have to endure. So in that case, what happens is let it actually happen, but actually let me focus on my energy and let me distract from that and let me do something which will actually help me to be a better person. I'm not actually suggesting advising people to go for webinar, okay, particularly free webinars. Okay, since actually I'm saying that involve yourself into your something that you are passionate about. So just get on it. You learn music, you learn a particular language, or you learn about the civilization. There are so many things that avenues are there internet that you can actually, small kids are actually learning about civilization sitting at home. So distract yourself, because what cannot be cured, that cannot be cured, it's not in your hand, but at least the things that you can do, you do. Distract yourself, focus, and enjoy that. Once you start enjoying that, then automatically you will be more philosophical. Read philosophy. Read philosophy. That's great.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Sharon, sir, for your vision, and thank you, Jacob, sir, for answering. This question is from Sonia Patos. Sir, the educational institutions must be sensitive to multiple burdens of women. How to make them sensitive?
Yeah. So that is actually very tricky, because we cannot actually go and sensitize them, right? Because educational institutions talk to people who are in power. So you have to contest elections, become an MP or actually a minister, then you talk to them, they will listen. Otherwise, they will not actually, you say that, okay, have you paid your children's fee, or else get out. That's what they will say. So let us not actually push the wall. Let us understand that what can be done. There are certain things that holy cows do not do anything, accept that. But if there are actually institutions which are open for this kind of techniques, have actually a discussion, talk. Try to actually convince people. So that is how it can be done. Otherwise, see, now education institutions is run by mafia. They will not listen. The government says that don't conduct entrance, don't conduct tests, they will do it. Because they take the government for ransom. They have already hijacked. So it's very difficult. So accept that. What to do? So maybe Professor Kadalvan sir might be having another alternative view of this.
Kadalvan sir?
Yeah, when the speaker speaks something, he has to answer. Okay? So in this point of time, I don't have any view.
It is my right to investigate. The problem is mine.
Sir, that's a good act of balancing what is life. That's an apt example, everyone. Sir, thank you so much for this. Sir, yes, the next question is from long time. He is saying this is from Shravan Sharma. Now a bit of transformation in the system. Okay, that's a feedback from him. Like it has been like this for a long period of time. The next question is from Gayatri Ji. How to create a good workspace in home for professional work for more productivity? Because men occupy rooms and women are left in kitchen and hall.
Yeah, that is actually the root cause of this problem dates back to thousands of years. It goes from our culture, it goes in our actually race, and we actually very unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know what to say, we are actually following the Brahminical practices, and there was actually the South Indians were practicing the shamanic practices, where women were given more importance. And the Brahminical practices were always actually putting or sending women, for certain things. So what happens is it is actually rooted culturally. It becomes very difficult unless there is actually change in the mindset of the man and are raising the kids, raising the boys, how to actually treat them. We are all bent upon preparing girls for marriage, but we very conveniently forget preparing boys for marriage. There it has to actually start. It's very difficult.
And yes, sir, definitely. And moreover, this pandemic has taught everyone like it's not about the gender. Each one is have to be empowered with all the survival skills. Sir, I have a question like, is it the possibility to have a wellness not be a emphasis to have psychological well-being sort of a forum in all the colleges so that it will really help the faculties as well as the students to like create awareness and also to look after their mental health well-being. So can you please put your points on that?
Yeah, so that is actually a good thing, and many of the colleges already have it. And whenever NAC comes, no, it will start functioning. Okay, and if, do they actually really have in their heart to bring that change? Do they really have that? If they really have it, then there is a way. Unless there is a change in the heart of the management to really give impetus, give importance to this wellness program, it will be actually only kept in the photos, in the files, and in the registers, and submitted for NAC accreditation. So there is actually a big mind shift that has to happen at the management level to have this.
Yes, another question from Saravanan Johansson. It's a perspective related. Being a naturalist and also learning shamanism practice over a period of time, I see this evolving situation as appreciate Mother Nature. Can you take your, what is your take on this?
Yeah, I agree 100% with him. Every time we actually show some tantrums, human space shows tantrums, the Mother Nature actually puts us in play. Let us all listen to that and change our course of life. So that it's important for us and for our children and for the whole earth. That's more important.
Even at home also, Mother always teaches us whenever we go over there. That's their education as well.
She has the prerogative. She has the right to do that. Nobody can question that.
Yes. She knows how to nurture and as well as how to educate us. And yes, sir, I think we have come to the end of the question. Yes, another question from Sonia Kapil. Respected sir, whose responsibility is it in a psychological well-being cell in college to help students with psychological concern, teachers and counselors? If teachers counsel won't be able to build relationship conflict.
To initiate with good intention, management is responsible, right? And after that, whoever is actually the office bearers of that, they have to take responsibility, they have to own it. And the people who are office bearers and the management have to build a trust around this thing, so that students actually place trust on it. They have to actually trust that to come and actually open it up and get benefit out of it. If you have a canteen in the college, when you are hungry, you go and actually get a tea and actually come back, right? You go sip a tea and have a snack and come back, right? Because you trust them. But in counseling centers and this kind of things, that kind of trust should happen, should be created, and awareness should be created for all the students that you are actually going through something not normal. So once you are actually aware, when you are hungry and you are aware of the penalty, you go to the canteen. The same way, when I am feeling low and I am feeling lonely, or I am feeling depressed, or I should know what I am going through, then only I am in a position to go and take help. And the management and the system has to facilitate. They should have mechanisms for that. So then everybody is responsible.
Good evening, sir. This is Ramdas Venkar. I have one last question for you. Am I audible?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. This is from a recently read article from Forbes. What do you think is the crucial thing missing from the work-life balance? Maybe your perspective or from a general perspective also, whatever it is. I read this article recently from home. I would like to shoot my question on that part.
Yeah, what is missing in the work-life balance?
Yes.
Life is
Yes.
life is missing. Because we don't know what actually life is. Till we actually there in the deathbed, we don't know what life is. That is all the restrictions, we just float and we still actually go to the career. Okay, on Sunday, we all go to the mutton stall. Okay, we take any of the social movements without not. So life is actually what missing.
Okay. Okay, sir, I would like to concentrate on your work. Like, Ramya Prakash from BSc and Vishnuman College, it was innovative and solid presentation, and I look forward to the other presentations also. It was a great PPT also. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. And I just want to tell a small thing. If we start loving the life we live, we will live the life we love. So if we could do that small fraction, that would be really good. And thank you for that excellent presentation as well as taking up the questions and answering them. Now, the floor is for Akshay Lakshmi. Akshay Lakshmi.
Thank you. That was a wonderful question and answer session, sir. And since this is Google Meet forum, you wouldn't have seen the chat box. There are a lot of good like opinions, and especially for your PPT, it was so innovative and interesting and creative, and the presentation was very clear. All these comments were from the participants. I really want to say that to you.
Actually, he's known for that. He's always creative.
It's really nice to hear from you, and especially this topic is very interesting. Thank you so much, sir, and very informative. Now, I request Dr. J. Parameshwari, Assistant Professor, Department of Psychology, Peiyar University, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Shekhar, congratulations. It was indeed a beautiful presentation with a very, very beautiful PPTs. So this is not new for us. We have been seeing him for a long time. We know how he works and how he presents. So thank you so much for being the resource person of the day. And I thank all the participants for being, I think even though there were a few students who were not able to see the PowerPoint, we didn't mess it up much. It went on well. And I take this opportunity to thank HOD for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. See you so all the best. Be safe. Be safe.
Thank you, Akshay. Thank you, Veena. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Bye.
எல்லாம் சடசடன்னு வெளியே போகிறாங்க. தெரியுதா? வந்ததும் சடசடன்னு உள்ள வந்தாங்க. 3 நாளைக்கா? 7 நாளைக்கு. 7 நாளைக்கு. ரெக்கார்டிங் முடிச்சிருங்க. இன்னும் தீபா. ஆமாம் காலா. அம்மா ஜெயலலிதா கிரிச்சாடா. எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சு இந்த மாதிரி வால்பேப்பர் டிபிலாம் இந்த இதில் தான் வைக்கிறாங்க. படிச்சு அதுக்கப்புறம் முடிய உதயாஸ்ரீ அது வெக்கமும் இருக்கும். ஓகே டன் முடிஞ்சது.